Welcome back to Case Closed Anime Review. Excuse me. Episode 100. Good thing this is the 100th episode of the series because, well, the new chapter of the manga is the conclusion to the actual arc itself, which, thank God, this is actually a quite interesting conclusion. But first, let's talk about the newest episode of the anime, which is the anime original episode called Automatic Tragedy Part 1. Well, it also known as Tragedy of Automatic. Yep, episode 990. Wow. Who knew I watched an anime that had this many episodes? Though this is about the same amount of chapters that One Piece is released right now. The other release, I think the most recent was like 990, I think it is. Yep. This episode is kind of an interesting one to say the least. The episode starts off with a guy named Okada, who just in front of Mori's office, by the way, the cafe is actually right next door to that. That was kind of yeah, that's kind of weird though. The fact that it's like that, where basically the detective office is just above the cafe. I mean, literally, it is directly above the cafe, which I never noticed that before. I mean, you never usually get like a good shot of the detective office. Because a lot of times you show the window itself, or sometimes show the cafe, but not where it's completely obvious the fact that the cafe is on the first floor, staircase, and then the office. Yeah, it's actually the first time I could think of in this series they've actually done. They've shown the office and the staircase before, but not all three at once. Yeah, I've never seen this before. Even in canon episodes, they've never depicted a building like this before, which, great shot. And basically, he just talked to himself, and like, want to talk to Mori, and then Conan tries to say, you want to go up? He's like, okay. And he talks to Mori and discusses that apparently there was a robbery murder about 10 days ago, and the victim was in fact his late father. Oh yeah, and $300 yen was stolen. Yep. Excuse me. Yeah, 300 yen was stolen. So they talked to him for a while. They explained that the victim was actually the guy's father. They revealed this a bit later. Like basically Conan. Basically, it's actually Mori's actually trying to figure this out because he mentions last. And hey, yeah, it's the same guy as the father. Yeah, apparently he had his father discussing his future because, well, he apparently had a tough time trying to find a job. His sister got engaged not too long prior to that, so he's having a tough time to discuss his own future. Which comes up a couple times, mentioned by his father and his mother. They have to discuss his future. Some point, maybe he might be engaged, whatever. Oh yes, and there was a bit of a worry basically where, well, basically because the sister got engaged to a wealthy person, and apparently, get this, the guy's old friends tried to extort the man, all because the guy was engaged. So they basically drive to where his sister and mother are, who are looking for people possibly behind, who could have been the actual people, like any information related to it. Oh, and by the way, this is not the regular police department. This is basically some nearby town where this took place in. And from what I can tell, the police have no problem with basically working with Mori. Probably because of interpretation and being a great detective. It's like, apparently we missed a scene like, oh, hi, I'm Cory Mori. Like, oh, hi, Mori-san. Can we get your autograph? Can you help with this case? And of course, they apparently decided to brief them partially off screen about what happened, so they kind of put two and two together. So they look around the house. Of course, by the way, they go back to the house later in the episode, and they talk to the mother and sister. And it turns out, though, the father is actually kind of not exactly on board with. He wasn't against the engagement. He was just against it at first, and eventually he was just basically he got over it. But the guy was also very cautious around people because he didn't want to make a bad impression. Okay, perfectly fine. And of course, Conan basically asked the question. Also, when Conan's at the police department, they actually decided to, well, I saw on Crunchyroll, they apparently decided to not show Mori hitting Conan this time because all the previous times, basically, when he's hit Conan, they've always shown it. Here, they don't show it for some reason. Maybe because The studio who made the show probably getting tired of all the complaints of a constant showing of the child abuse toward Conan. So they cut it out. So they figure out though, and of course when they look around the house, they discover that a door had been replaced. Yes, by some nearby engineering company. How and why in the world the door was replaced? Like why the door was replaced? What happened to the previous door? They don't say, except that Conan points out though the wall is old, but the door is new. And they discussed this. One repair guy basically did it, and apparently on the day that the murder and robbery happened, he took a day off. And it turns out though, after confronting him, he runs away. It turns out though, he just stole the money. He just stole 300 yen. He did not kill the guy. They don't really resolve that portion of the case. They resolve the robbery, where he confesses, yeah, I stole the money. I was one who basically looked around and all that stuff. But I didn't kill him. He was lying on the floor sleeping. Yeah, they actually going to explain in the next week's episode about that. So they're going to take him in as a witness. And despite the fact they kind of solved that portion, and because they kind of, because it's basically stopped worrying, because they're planning for her wedding. I'm wondering though if they're going to show her fiance next week's episode. I wouldn't be surprised about that. Yep. It's an okay episode, though it does resolve its little plot a little too quickly. It's like they resolve half the plot in like one episode. Though it's a two-parter resolving next week. Now moving on to a chapter I really wanted to talk about. Chapter number 1006, the conclusion of the FBI serial murder case. Rum. And there's a big thing with this one. Excuse me, picks up exactly where the last chapter left off, where Conan's shooting Carmel in the frickin' shoulder. Though Aki, and of course they think, oh yeah, I think he's dead, but nope. So I think, okay, let's just make sure he's dead by basically blowing up with a frickin' grenade. And like, Aki, yep, on it. Fires a grenade out of Vaka's hand. Well, it's out of Jin's hand. It's like, I wonder who that is. And then of course, apparently he said to keep Rena's cover by shooting off her hat. It almost looked like he grazed her. It's like, oh, take cover by bending down. Yep, bending down. Okay. Oh yeah, they also show that the fire department is putting out the big humongous fire on the island that the black organization caused. Like, okay, time to get out of there. Yay, let's just get out, act like a father and son, despite the fact that they're related. So basically, the black organization agents basically, they get on their speedboat, and they figure what to do next, and they figure, oh yeah, there's actually Adrian Carmel, who this guy is. And this, of course, Vermont basically is like, Korn, who is this guy? Yeah, Korn's actually the guy, I kind of forgot about that. Who is this guy? Where do you see him? I can't be wrong, I've seen before. 2 years ago, the photo Rum sent me. It's him. And Rena's like, 2 years ago, photo? Huh? Why did Rum send you a photo? I was made to watch a warehouse where a meeting took place. But the meeting was cancelled. After that, Rum sent me mail with the image attached. It said, kill him on sight. Rye and this FBI guy. Essentially. And of course, they get a phone call from Rum. Yeah, you actually get a chance to hear Rum's voice for the first time ever in the series. Well, you get a chance to kind of see him. And he talks for a bit. And then we cut back to the mansion where Carmel's got himself a haircut. To when he was younger. So they cut off his long hair. It's like, oh yeah, he looks so handsome. He look good looking now. So they kind of reveal that he was able to make a bulletproof vest via some papers he didn't find. He got blood on it. I think it was a hat too. Oh, his chest. It was me who shot. Like, okay, so it was I already know. And then of course talk about the grenade. Like the compliment basically, and they kind of resolved this whole thing. But on this side, 7 agents were killed. Marcus is heavily injured, and to drive away without getting results. But about that, Bacchus said Rum changed his face and got a silly name. Aki and Kind of like silly name. And we finally see Rum. He's just this weird looking bald guy. Where apparently Carmel had seen him. And they stop, and then the guy puts on a toupee, a thin mustache, and teeth. And they finally unveil who Rum is. It's Watanuki, Maury's apprentice. He's Rum. And the chapter ends with, "Hey, Shep, I'm helping you with preparation." Yeah, and the thing's like, the man with the silly name is right next to him. Oh my gosh, wow. Who knew? The guy who basically, because this is just one of the guys that was a possible suspect of being Rum, and this chapter confirms this is Rum. Wow! Who would have thunk that this guy, even though he was actually just seen, like this guy who is Rum, by the way, he was just seen in the last case. And all of a sudden it's revealed, oh yeah, he's actually Rum. I'm like, what? He's Rum? Okay, that's interesting. Wow, what a very interesting cliffhanger. Yeah, and it's like, oh yeah, he's close by to Maury's office. The guy who happens to be the Colonel Moran of the Black organization is living right next door to the main character of the series. Who would have thunk that he works at a very nearby restaurant? I give this chapter a 10 out of 10. Fantastic chapter. Can't wait for the next chapter. Surprising, though, it doesn't say that if, in fact, there's going to be a new chapter released this week. Next week, I don't know, but hopefully it's going to be possible. But damn, what a damn good chapter. And what a way, basically, to have for the 100th episode of this anime review series to unveil who the heck Rum is. Yep. Yeah, I started this review series just last year. Yeah, it's been like a year. The reason why you're probably thinking, wait, if you started this a year ago, why the heck are you up to 100 episodes by now? Well, the thing is, basically, when it comes to this particular review series, the first 27 episodes of the series discussed all the seasons of the series been released so far. The other things that most have been reviewed to get up this far, some episodes just basically review just manga. That was actually for a couple months for this series, mainly because of the pandemic basically delaying the series for about a month. That was one thing. Another was basically talking about the OVAs, the films, like almost every single film released for the series. And the TV specials, I reviewed most of them. And a lot of the stuff been released for the series. Still, the only thing I have not reviewed yet for a good reason is the Magic Files. You're probably thinking, why haven't you reviewed the Magic Files yet? Well, the reason is actually pure and simple, really. I can't find one under an English sub. It's the only thing for the series I haven't found yet. There are 5 Magic Files for this series, and the thing is, the first one's just a DVD. That's all it is. Basically, there's like 2 through 6, but the only sub I find is Indonesian sub, which I don't think this is even English at all. So, unless somehow that some website can actually do an official, or at least maybe a fan sub of this particular thing, I would love to see it, but it all depends upon exactly what they want to do. Now, interesting enough, I should also point out, though, the 24th film was supposed to be released this year, back in April. Yes, which is supposed to basically be the first of the current, let's just say, the current era, the Rosa era, the Scarlet Bullet. Yeah. Now, the thing is, it was supposed to release back in April, but was postponed to next year. The reason being, the pandemic delayed the film. Yep, that was the reason for it. Now, I've watched a lot of the films. Some of them are quite interesting. Like, the last one I watched was the 23rd, which came out, like, last year. That was really good. Thoroughly enjoyable film. Next one should be interesting, especially since, well, Sarah's going to be in it, which basically this will be her second film appearance made to date. She was in the 17th film, but the problem I had with her role in that film was she disappeared halfway through the movie. It's like half the movie she's taken out, and she's never seen again in this movie. She doesn't do much at the very end. Hopefully she plays a lot more bigger role in the next movie. I hope so. I hope they actually show off her most recent appearance. Now, she's made about... Of all the recent stuff that's been shown for the manga, she's only appeared in 2 cases. The Antique Faucet and actually about 2 cases back before this one. That was her 2 most recent appearances. I hope she returns. But in case you're curious though, this news chapter that came out 10/6, this actually is the end of the current arc of the manga. Though I should point out that this is the first in the Black Girl stage that's been active since... Well, it's been a long time since it's been active. They've mostly been inactive for quite some time. I would say that when I look them online, they've been inactive about 2 years. Why the heck it took so long for the creator of the series basically bring back the Black Organization and the FBI, I don't know. This is probably also by far, for this particular case, the most FBI agents seen in the series. And it's interesting though, their base is Conan's house, which that is so cool. Why not? I mean, the police don't legally recognize them as basically legally operating in Japan. So why not operate out of a house of a known writer who works with you guys, especially when your allegedly dead agent lives there. Yep, but not much else to say about this particular arc. And of course, this episode, this recent arc was really good. Thoroughly enjoyed it. The episode was okay, but I'm definitely looking forward to next episode comes out next week. Okay. So yeah, that's it for this particular review, and that's it for video today. I don't have time to do anything else because I got church in the morning. So tomorrow, I expect to see reviews for One Piece, My Hero Academia, Boruto, and Attack on Titan. Though I should also point out though that tomorrow's special for My Hero Academia will be the last one. You're probably thinking you're ending the My Hero Academia reviews. No, I'm ending the specials portion of it because 80 is pretty high for the series, especially since it's weekly. So I'm switching it from that to regular episodes from now on. And I'm going to be doing the same thing with Fire Force as well. Yes, I'm going to do with that one as well for that particular series. Because the thing is, when it comes to specials, it's a bit too much for this one, so I'm going to wait for that one. Now, I am still checking to see when the heck new chapter released for. Well, I did know so that new chapter released for Attack on Titan. I'll review that tomorrow with Attack on Titan itself. Because I'm not going to do any more specials for the series for that one. Because I'm doing the same thing for Boruto. I got the anime back, so why not review new chapter of the manga along with it, okay? So yeah, so I see you all tomorrow. Bye.